Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our live tonight. So welcoming everyone who's watching this live this evening, and also also welcoming anyone who's watching this on the recording. So really good to have you here. And tonight we're going to show you how you can streamline your business processes in terms of managing appointments with yourself. For example, if you run a coaching business, or if you run like an education business or something where you have appointments that you need to schedule with internal or external people, we're going to show you how you can use Microsoft Bookings to make that process as smooth as possible for both yourself and also for those people who are trying to book those appointments. Okay, so without further ado, we're not going to go into much detail on this evening. However, it should give you an idea of how Microsoft Bookings can potentially help in your scenario. So let's go into the screen share as usual. So I'm just going to share my screen with you here. Okay, right. I'm not sure what's going on there. There we go. Okay. Right, so here we are in the Microsoft Office 365 portal, where most things begin, and you'll be very familiar with this by now if you've been watching our previous lives. Bookings starts here, so you can see in the portal we've got this icon here, which is a kind of green bee, and if you hover over it, it will tell you that it's Microsoft Bookings. So let's click on Bookings and get started. So we haven't been into Bookings before on this account, and you'll see this is the first step that you come to. So online scheduling that your customers will love. So bear that in mind when you're setting this up. So we've got a few videos here introducing Bookings. We can have a look here as well and see what Bookings is about. So Bookings is available mainly online in terms of the back end, but it's also accessible and very easy to use through an app as well. Some of the functionality is not available on the app, but you do get all of the functionality then on the back end. Okay, so we'll click on Get It Now. So I'm going in here as a user who has a Microsoft Business Premium license. In terms of licensing, this is available for Business Standard. It's also available for E3, E5, A3, A5, but you may need to just double check if you're using a different licensing type as to whether Bookings is either available or whether it's something you would need to potentially spend a bit extra on. So we've already created one booking calendar here, which is within this organization. So let's add another booking calendar. So let's call this, let's have another coaching business. Okay, and the business type is coaching, and it's computer coaching. So these are just some of the initial kind of suggestions. So for example, if we had hair salons, Microsoft have already provided that in the list. So we're going to be doing coaching, computer coaching, and then we're going to go continue. Okay. So we can create many of these different calendars inside our organization. So we can have lots of different ones. So if we had different departments maybe, or if we had different divisions that were providing different types of services, we can add these calendars. Okay, so this is kind of showing me the initial page. Now we also have the option here. So currently there is a new version of Bookings out. So there's no point really in us maybe going through the old one. So let's actually go straight to the new version, because I think it's easier to kind of become more familiar with one version, and then rather than trying to kind of change the way that you see this afterwards. So we'll get started here. So this is our calendar, and it's showing me here basically all of the staff after I've got rid of these kind of tutorial things. So it's basically showing me the staff that are potentially available within the organization. So we've got a few people that we've already set up as users within our Office 365 setup. So this is a very simple kind of calendar view. No one's got any bookings yet. Now, we start down here. So for example, we've got our staff list on the left-hand side here. So we've got that staff list. We can take these off so we can filter the views, for example, so we can just show specific people on this calendar. So it's showing us there that there's a filter there. So next we'll have a look at this. So what type of services do we want to provide? So if we click on services here, there's a model service that's been set up. So this is just an initial consultation. So it's someone booking a 60-minute, 1-hour consultation in this instance. And it means that this will be kind of set in terms of there. So let's click on the service details. So it shows you here what these are. So calendar and availability, and this will show what the availability for that service is and who are the staff that are assigned to that. Okay, so this is a kind of very basic service there. And we can see that there's no assigned staff or anything on that service currently. So let's go to our, so we are now in our settings here. So let's go to staff. Okay, so here are our staff, and we've got, so we've got our 5 staff there. So these are all staff that are available potentially for me to use here. I can then kind of have a look at their availability, for example, and I can then edit a staff member. So this is where we start to actually kind of put our services and settings into line here. So we can say notify that staff member if a booking is created or assigned to them. We can also make sure that events that are already in our office calendar affect the availability for that person. And we can also just say use business hours, or we can change these hours to suit so that people can potentially have bookings outside of these hours. So we can change these hours as well. So we'll just leave that as they are. So this is our staff. So, and then we can go over to the services to see if there's any services assigned to that staff. So we have nothing currently. So we're going to go down again to the services. We have initial consultation here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a new service. So I'm going to call it exam coaching. Okay, so there's a real kind of beauty of this then in the fact that we can add a location and it can use location-based kind of information. So if you allow it to access the location of your browser, potentially, you can do that. Or I can also add an online meeting. So I can also add a Teams meeting into the invitation. So I'm not going to let this know where I am for the time being. I can set the duration. So this duration is 1 day. Do we need some buffer time? Do we need some time between the previous service and the next service so that, you know, we get to kind of set ourselves up? In COVID times, this is particularly important, maybe in public facing spaces where we need kind of half an hour to clean up, for example. We can also set a price. So we can do a fixed price, say for this one. So we'll call it £20, very cheap. And we can also say how many attendees can we have in there. We can also let our customers manage this. So, okay, let's then go to the next options there. So still in service, and we're showing available times. So whether they can book in increments of 30 minutes. So this was an actual day kind of slot. So there's only going to be one of those really every day that are going to be available. But if you had, for example, much shorter durations, then you might want to book them in 30-minute slots. So we can also add the lead time and the maximum lead time there. So we can say we need them to book at least a day in advance so that we have time to prepare. Now I can add staff here. So I'm going to add myself in there, which for this one, customer information. So we can ask for specific customer information and we can say what's required. So some services may require them to provide us with their address, for example, if we're sending something out to them before the service takes place, especially if it's online. And then reminders, we can also kind of change the reminder and we can add some additional information in the email confirmation there. So we'll save the changes there. Okay, so you can see here now it's created our exam coaching there. So let's go into there. So it's gone to 1 day, it's £20. There we go. So service details, calendar availability, and then this is the staff member who's on there. Now we can go to book appointment. So we can book these appointments. So if someone phones us up, we can book these appointments on their behalf. So I can book an appointment here, and then I can add the appointment, and I can say add a customer, for example, and we can add their email and their phone number. So we can add a customer in there, and as you can see, 0 of 4 seats are currently booked on this session. So we'll discard those changes, and you can see here as well that it's a Teams meeting as opposed to a in-person meeting there. So a few things we can do there with the service. Okay, so I told you that you can also allow the public then to book. So currently, if we are still in the settings, we go to the booking page. I told you this was a whistle-stop tour as well. There's a lot really to see here, but I'm hoping that this is giving you a flavor of what you can do with Microsoft Bookings and how it might improve the workflow that you have in terms of bringing your customers on, and especially if you have kind of those online slots with them, you can just kind of set these up in Teams straight away. So it's really good. So we can make this available to anyone. So I'm going to make it available to anyone, which is the booking page for this coaching business. And then if I click on this link, you'll see now that I have a calendar here. It shows me the services that are available. So exam coaching, I'm going to look at there. I'm going to see who's available to provide the exam coaching. So it's already telling me it's an all-day service. There we go. I need to provide my details then to book that. Okay, so just to kind of confirm as well, you can also email this booking link, or you can also embed the booking link into another website. So if you have a website that you've already set up, you can embed that calendar in and provide those services. Okay, so that was a really very quick kind of tour of Microsoft Bookings, how it might help your business, especially if you've got one of those types of businesses. There is a really good FAQ that Microsoft provide, and we'll provide that link after the session in the comments so that you can go back and find those. So this really goes through all the stuff that Bookings does. Okay, brilliant. So I'm just going to leave you as usual with our website. So there's the website address just going underneath the screen there. So head on over to the website, and then from there you can find our social channels. Follow us on there, please, and hopefully we'll add some value. And let us know as well, if there's anything that you'd like us to cover. And yeah, we'll also see you hopefully in our Facebook group. So there's the Facebook group on the screen right now. It's Your Illumino IT. And we've called it that because really we want it to be your group so that you can ask your questions, so that you can kind of converse within your peers, and you can kind of all help each other in terms of this kind of, staying up to date with technology these days, things that people have done that you might find useful, things that others have done that you might find useful, and will kind of help, in terms of adding the value then in terms of things that we know that could be of use to you, especially if you're asking those questions in there. Okay, thanks very much, and we'll hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks very much for joining us this evening. Okay, good night.